In the beginning, when I first found out I was pregnant, this really faint voice in the back of my head said home birth. And I couldn't tell you why. Mind you, this was early 2021, COVID. Hey everyone, my name is Lauren. Welcome to my channel, The Offbeat Mama. If this is your first time here, I'm so excited that you found this channel. I talk a lot about pregnancy, natural birth, and motherhood. I like to do things a little crunchy, a little granola, or offbeat, as I like to put it. And today I would love to share how I went from a planned hospital birth to a home birth. So I found out that I was pregnant in January of 2021. So I was excited to experience pregnancy. I thought I was ready. I dove headfirst into all of the material. We planned a hospital birth. So we contacted a local midwife and made the appointment, had the ultrasound. Everything was great. Mind you, this was early 2021, COVID, the effects of the pandemic. So when we went to the hospital, we were still wearing masks. They were still mandating a lot of different policies that were kind of scary. The midwife was amazing. We went in, and essentially the hospital appointment was just like check, check, check off all the boxes. You come in, you get weighed, they take your blood pressure. Okay, great, everything's fine. And as my pregnancy progressed and the more research I did, the more I found myself shying away from a hospital birth. And in the beginning, when I first found out I was pregnant, this really faint voice in the back of my head said home birth. And I couldn't tell you why, but it was just this very deep intuition. I felt that I needed to be at home. I needed to be out of the system. Fortunately, I had been active up until that point. I remained active throughout my entire pregnancy. I was eating pretty healthily and continued to do so throughout my pregnancy. And so the farther along I got into my pregnancy, I just had this deep gut feeling that I wasn't making the right choice to be in the hospital for myself, my baby, or my husband. My husband was a little on the fence. He's kind of a Murphy's Law type of guy. Like if something will go wrong or can go wrong, it will go wrong, right? That's Murphy's Law. I was 33 weeks and shit hit the fan again. COVID was blowing up. People were getting sick everywhere. Everybody was flooding to the hospital, of course, because that's where you go when you're sick. I was sitting there one day and I'm thinking, I'm not sick. I've had a healthy pregnancy this whole time. Why am I going to a place where sick people go? And it just didn't make sense to me. Something didn't click. I didn't feel right. And as I was attending these midwife appointments, I knew they had my best interest at heart. I knew they wanted to take care of me. I knew they had my safety as their top priority. So when shit hit the fan, I was 33 weeks. COVID was ramping up again. The hospitals are locking down. They told us that your husband can no longer attend your prenatal appointments with you. Okay. That's not okay. Two, you still had to wear a mask. All right, whatever. I understand that. That was kind of the last straw for me. I hadn't had a good feeling or a good connection up until ever. I never really had a good connection. Again, like I loved my midwives, but it didn't flow. It didn't sync. My gut instinct said, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. This is not where you're supposed to be. This is not meant for you. 33 weeks. Called, I think, like 4 or 5 different home birth midwifery services. Again, like I'm in my 3rd trimester. I'm 33 weeks. And I called and said, hey, my name is Lauren. This is what's happening. I don't want to go to the hospital. Please help me. And fortunately, they welcomed me with open arms. I had done my homework. I felt super confident. I was meditating at least 3 times a week, doing my hypnobirthing tracks and just trying to get my mind right. I was so excited to have this baby. Like I just was mentally in the right space, knowing that I was going to be at home and in very good care. My son was 10 days early. I had a shit ton of pineapple the night before. Ladies, by the way, midwife's tale, eat pineapple because it worked for me. If you're trying to induce labor naturally, hit up some pineapple. Might work for you. So my son was 10 days early and I was just uncomfortable. That night I slept fine. And so the next morning I woke up, I felt great, no contractions, really no sign of labor. I had a lot of energy and I just felt good. The weather was so beautiful. Mind you, this was Labor Day weekend. Ironic, maybe not. All of a sudden, I felt leakage. But then it kept happening and happening and happening, and a little bit more each time would come out. So I called my midwife. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm thinking that my water broke or is leaking or something is happening. I'm not having contractions, but this is what's going on. So she said, get some rest, do your curb walking, all the things. You know what? Let's go to a local blueberry festival. It's going to be great. It's beautiful outside. I can get some blueberry ice cream, maybe snag a blueberry donut. Sounds like a great time to me. At this point, my husband knew. Before we left the house, he knew something was up. So I was honest with him and I said, hey, had to call the midwife. Water's leaking. It's going to be fine. Let's go get a donut. Of course, he did not want to go, but happy wife, happy life, right? Is that the saying? Something like that. And we get to the Blueberry Festival. Water is just continuously leaking. It was my first pregnancy. Again, I didn't know if it was going to be slow on the get-go, if it was going to ramp up really quickly. I was ready for whatever, but I just wanted to be home in that safe space where I was going to birth. So we told our friends, hey, this is what's going on. Get back in the car, drive all the way back home. I was 10 days early. This wasn't supposed to happen for like another 2 weeks, or they tell you you can go up to 42 weeks with your first pregnancy. So we had plenty of time. I hadn't even made freezer meals. I didn't do anything. So super prepared. My mind was prepared. My home, not so much. My sister was a saint and went to the grocery store. She grabbed up some stuff, and that was it for that day. I labored a little bit in the shower as contractions started to come on about 10 p.m. that night. And when I say contractions, it was like I probably could have, gone for another 3-mile walk and been fine with the contractions that I was having. I'll go to bed. I want to stay up and I want to, go through the motions and experience the contractions and do my breathing exercises. And I was so excited to listen to my hypnobirth tracks and no. So I listened to my gut again. I went to bed, I think about 10:30 or 11 p.m. that night, and then woke up about 2 a.m. And the contractions were a little bit stronger. So I decided to get up and kind of move around. That felt good to me. It helped. I called my midwife after timing my contractions, and they were about 4 minutes apart. So she came over to the house. She sat with me for a little bit, and I said, okay, let's do a cervix check to see if I'm dilated. Not that that really means anything. I fully understand that, but it was more or less, for my own mentality of knowing things were either progressing or I needed to chill the F out and go back to bed. And that's exactly what I needed to do. So she said, you're progressing a little bit, but your contractions are slowing down. Get as much rest as you can. Went back to bed. She went home, and I think I went back to bed about 4 a.m. Woke up at 10 a.m. feeling great, rested. As soon as I got out of bed, that's when I was thinking, okay, this is labor. I am in it because I'm weird and I'm a control freak. I knew I was going to have a bit of an issue relaxing my body, letting go, and that's pretty much all that birth requires is for you to release control and be in the right mental state. So in the beginning, I found myself, holding my breath, kind of tensing up. So more or less I was doulaing myself and just trying to talk myself through breathing. My active labor started at about 10 a.m. Okay, so start the timer there. I was laboring a little bit in the tub until, save the day, the midwife was there, the doula walked in. First time I'm meeting this lady. I'm on all fours on the floor, going through a contraction. I get through it. She goes, okay, great. How you doing? I'm a fucking champ. She goes, okay, we're going to be great friends. This is going to be awesome. I was in and out of the tub, which I loved. I switched some positions when I was out of the tub, like on all fours. I was on my side for a little bit, but I felt most comfortable in the tub. That's where I had preferred to have him. Just didn't work out. So he had moved down. I felt him. He was really low in my pelvis. And he just hung out there the whole last 4 hours of my labor. I ended up getting out of the tub, and onto the bed, and I was kind of at a reclined position, and my midwife said, okay, we're going to do happy baby, which for those of you who don't know happy baby, it's a yoga pose. You're basically like spread eagle on the bed, like hand on foot. It is a very awkward position to hold for a long time, and because I had been laboring all day, my legs were so fatigued. So fortunately, my midwife was great about letting me push with my contractions. She coached with my breathing. She coached me with my contractions when she saw I was having one. And then I just sat back and relaxed between each contraction. And that was seriously the best thing. Why? Because I didn't tear. It's possible. You read the blogs and you watch the videos. First time mom, oh yeah, you're definitely going to tear. It's not true. I didn't tear. And so she let me do my thing. She let me listen to my body. She just helped me to keep my breathing under control. And he was so far down in my pelvis. He was so close. I am exhausted. I don't feel anything down there right now. I just couldn't muster the energy to give a much harder push that he needed. I get a really big contraction and I exhale. I do my J breathing that I learned in hypnobirthing, and boop, out comes his head. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I probably like it's so bad down there because she probably cut me when I'm torn. It's gonna be bad. And I birth the rest of his body. She puts him on my chest. I can't even describe the emotions just because you're exhausted, you're excited, you're relieved, you have all these endorphins flowing through you. If you're pregnant and watching this and you're a first time mom, I just can't wait for you to experience. You should be so excited to birth your baby. So after the birth, we had the golden hour and did skin to skin. It was the most beautiful hour of my entire life. My midwife and my doula were angels and they cleaned up everything, came back in. I gave my son to my husband who held him for the cord cutting. We waited about a half an hour. So his cord was completely white and I saved my placenta because I encapsulated. One of my highly recommended things to do is encapsulate your placenta. So we'll talk about that in another video. So I loved my birth. I loved my pregnancy. And I can't wait to share with you everything that helped me. I'm here because I want to empower you as either an expecting parent, expecting mama. If you're pregnant right now or you're just going through the flow of motherhood, I want to share my experiences with you. I want you to feel empowered and confident in your ability to birth. So I hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about me and just know that it's never too late to change course. I don't think a lot of women understand or know that it's never too late to switch either from a home birth to a hospital birth, to change your birth plan from a hospital birth to a home birth. It goes both ways. So just know that there's always options for you and that you're fully capable of the best birth experience that you deserve. I post every Wednesday, so subscribe if you want to see more. See ya.